So you finished a couple of cross-stitch projects, and you made a few mistakes, but you learned a lot, and you're feeling a lot more confident in your abilities, and you're ready to move on. Something a little bit more complicated. You found a big, beautiful piece of Ada, and you want to put a big project on it, or do a stitch-along. You find that perfect pattern, or you sign up for that stitch-along like the ones that Caterpillar Cross Stitch is regularly hosting, and you get your PDF pattern, and you print it out, and it looks like this. What is this? How am I supposed to read this? How am I supposed to use this? Hi, I'm Ford, and today on the Caterpillar Cross Stitch channel, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite tips for dealing with a large multi-page pattern. Before I dive too far into this topic, let me please remind you to please subscribe to the channel, and when we're done, like this video and leave me a comment. It only takes you a couple of seconds and it makes a really big difference for me. I would love to hit 100,000 subscribers this year, and I'd love it if you were one of them. Now, once you start getting into projects bigger than what will fit in a 6-inch embroidery hoop or in a 5x7 picture frame, you're going to start encountering the problem of your patterns being too big to fit on a single sheet of letter in the US or A4 everywhere else and still be readable. So you're going to start getting patterns with partial pages. And that can be confusing, especially for a lot of new stitchers. But even if you're experienced with it, some of my tips will probably be helpful for you today. Now, for people who work from digital patterns, this is not really a problem. Most reputable designers, in addition to the multi-page printable pattern, will also provide you a single-page digital pattern. So if you're working from a tablet or a laptop screen or your phone screen, you just use that single-page one and zoom in and zoom out as necessary, and it's much easier. But not everybody uses digital patterns. Some people, like me, really prefer to use a physical paper pattern. I get my patterns as PDFs, so I could view them on a computer screen, but I really prefer to have a physical, tactile pattern, and there are a handful of reasons for that. But the biggest one is that I am so conditioned to be distracted by my phone that if I tried to use my phone as my pattern, I would never get any stitching done. Notification would pop up, or I'd think of something and have to go look it up, and it would just destroy my productivity. Plus, there's the fact that if you're in bright sunlight, it's really hard to see a digital screen, and I don't know about you, but I have never had the battery die on a piece of paper. I don't even know what would happen if it did. But that leads to the question of how do you read a multi-page pattern? Now, there are a lot of different pattern designing platforms out there, and they'll display a multi-page pattern in different ways. So a lot of this will vary a little bit depending on where you got the pattern from. But the general rule is that you're going to get multiple pages that will be numbered from left to right in rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So if we look at this pattern here that I created for this purpose today, we've got 6 numbered grid pages, and then 1 additional information page that tells us what colors we use and stuff. Now check out my video on reading regular patterns if any of the stuff on that page doesn't make sense to you, but we're just going to be looking at the grid pages today. So we've got 6 grid pages. So if we look at them, we can tell where they go relative to one another. And the custom within most of the stitching industry is to give you some grayed out or hashed out rows or columns to tell you how much of that page overlaps. Because if you look at this page, you see we've got columns 1 through 85. And then when we go to page 2, we've got columns 80 through 165. So there are 5 columns there of overlap. How many columns of overlap there are will vary by designer and software and preference and that kind of stuff. This one happens to have 5. And usually there will be some sort of information on that information page with notes about how much crossover there is and that kind of stuff. So if there's anything unusual, it should be noted on that page. If we take a look at these ones, we can see that we've got 0, 0 for our coordinate plane, because we go 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30. So page 2 still goes 10, 20, 30, but it goes 80, 90, 100. So we've got an overlap of 5 here. Now, the way most people will work with that is that they will just sort of work one page at a time. And then when they get close to the edge, they'll start kind of looking at both of them and making reference, because this can be pretty confusing. But this is a circumstance where gridding, like I taught you in a couple of videos ago, can be very, very handy, because those grid lines that you make on the pattern will correspond with these bolder lines here. So you don't have to worry as much about counting. You don't have to figure out how to count this gap. You only have to count from this line. So that's a circumstance where gridding especially can be really, really handy. But it does mean that you need to count, you need to subtract these ones from this one, because all 5 of these columns are represented twice. And then when we move on over onto page 3, we're still starting at the top, because it's 0, 10, 20, 30. But now we're on 160, 170, 180, and we end at 200 stitches wide here. So that page overlaps with that one by 5. And with this one, it's a little bit easier because the N is actually on the overlap. So it's a little bit easier to see where that overlap happens. And then when we move on to our second row of pages, we're going to start to see our overlap on the top, because this one goes through 174, and here we start at 169. Also make note that we have these little arrows indicating the center of the pattern. Most patterns will have some sort of indication of where the center of the pattern is. And then when we get on to page 5, because it is overlapping both with page 4 and with page 2, it's going to have hashed out lines on both the left and the top side. And then we're going to have the same thing once we get over onto page 6. So you can just kind of work by page and then very carefully count when you get to the intersections of those pages. Or what I like to do if I'm working with a big pattern like this is actually to kind of combine those pages into a single big sheet. Now, that can be a little bit confusing and unwieldy to work with, so I have a particular way that I like to do that. And what I like to do is actually cut off this overlap and tape those pages together. Now, you could use a pair of scissors for that, but if you follow the channel, you probably know that I am extra. So I'm going to use my paper cutter, and I'm going to cut right on the line where that overlap hashing ends. So now I've gotten rid of all of those duplicated columns. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line those up. And I'm going to tape those pages together. I'm going to start with just one piece of tape so I can make sure that they are perfectly aligned. There are 2 different things that you could do as the next step. You could turn both pages over and also tape along this seam. That will give you one big solid sheet of paper when you're done. But what I like to do is actually hinge that over on the piece of tape that I just applied and reinforce the back of that hinge, so that this will still fold like this, so that I can just fold that up and that will still fit in my envelope that I use for storing my pattern, because it's still smaller than one single letter sized sheet or A4 sheet of paper. And then I can just do the same thing with the rest of the pages. Now, if you're looking for that big perfect project, don't forget to sign up for the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Stitch Club email newsletter. They'll give you advance announcements of all the upcoming projects and patterns, as well as our upcoming stitch-alongs. And when you sign up, you'll get 10 free patterns worth £60. So just hit the link down there in the description or in the pinned comment so that you don't miss out on all the upcoming surprises. Now, I would go through there and reinforce all of my attachments with a little bit more tape in order to make sure that it's nice and secure. But now we have one nice big pattern instead of 6 individual sheets. Now, personally, what I would probably do is make one like this as a master reference and then use the individual sheets most of the time, because you really only have to worry about mistakes when you're within those 5 columns or rows of an edge of a page. That's where the counting gets difficult. So if you make yourself a big master, so you can make yourself a master sheet like this one to look at when you're stitching close to the edges, and then just use the 6 individual sheets the rest of the time because they're a lot less unwieldy. I've made a bunch of videos here on the channel, but I can't answer every question. So if I haven't gotten around to yours yet, another great way to get an answer would be to find our other social media accounts. Facebook and Instagram especially have tens of thousands of stitchers with just a sea of knowledge, experience, and information, as well as inspiration and support. So make sure you don't miss out on those. But if you didn't happen to get a single page version of your digital pattern, you only have the multi-page ones, some of the applications that people use for reading cross-stitch patterns, like Markup R XP and Pattern Keeper, will actually consolidate those pages together. It's a little bit more advanced feature sometimes, and it's a little bit fiddly to get it to work correctly, but that can also consolidate your pages for you into a single pattern to make it a little bit easier to read. So what about you? Would you work with this? Or do you have some other strategy for dealing with patterns that extend beyond a single page, or just a way to make sure you don't make counting mistakes at the edges of those pages? Share them in the comments, and maybe somebody can benefit from your wisdom. That is all I have for you this week, though. I do want to thank you so much for watching. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford, and I'll see you next week. I'm still recording.